Hello my fellow nightcrawlers, welcome to a brand new video. As usual, grab your blankets and grab your snacks and get comfortable because today we're going into the urban legend of Charlie No Face, also known as Green Man, also known as, well, the person's name, Raymond Robinson. And yes, you heard me right, the real name of this person. So an urban legend that's like real? In a way? We'll talk about it later, just give me a second. I'm not even gonna lie about this one, it's kind of sad. This story is a little sad. Yeah, you know what? Let's just hop in. There's no real easy way to explain a lot of this one, so let's get into it. So I'm going to take this video in kind of like two parts, if you will. I'm going to take it strictly from the urban legend side, and then I'm going to take it from the other side, which is looking into this person and who they were and what happened to them. This urban legend starts off in the state of Pennsylvania in Pittsburgh. There's basically this urban legend of a man that roams out in the middle of the night. He's faceless and he's a crazy murderer dude, and he will make sure to go out of his way and slice and dice anyone that even walks in front of him. In the stories that are often told about him, he is cited as being Green Man, and as a boy, he wanted to see into a bird's nest. So he climbed an electric pole and managed to shock himself. Once he shocked himself, he fell to the ground and lost not only his eyes, but his nose, mouth, one ear, and an arm. When you look into the story a little bit deeper, you also begin to understand that as he aged, because people were scared of the way that he looked, he hid and lived in this abandoned home. And depending on who you hear the story from, some say that he was actually an electrical worker who was in an accident that melted his face and killed him. Then his ghost would come back near the site and then haunt the people that are in or around the area. As I mentioned though, it really depends on who you're talking to. Another thing that people take interest in is the Green Man Tunnel in South Park Township, Pennsylvania. People have said that at this tunnel you can see sights of a glowing ghost of the Green Man, or sometimes you can see him in the flesh. Again, this is very dependent on who you're talking to, whatever the case may be. The reason that people call him Green Man is because of the fact that when he was a kid, he obviously got shocked, but basically that left some permanent thing in his skin, so now he has this green aura around him, and obviously, like, there's no way, but okay. Unfortunately, the urban legend basically overshadows the person that actually had this thing happen to them. So now that we've talked about the actual urban legend itself, how he came to be, let's look into the real person in this urban legend. On October 29th of 1910, Raymond Robinson was born. Raymond Robinson was only 8 years old when he was injured by an electrical line as he climbed a pole and reached for a bird's nest on the Morado Bridge outside of Beaver Falls. The bridge at the time was carrying a trolley and had electrical lines of both 1,200 volts and 22,000 volts. Obviously, the doctors didn't expect him to survive at all. There was basically no feasible way that this guy was going to make it. But defying the odds, he did. For Raymond, though, surviving this came with a price. He lost not only his eyes, but his nose and right arm. This didn't stop Raymond, though. He continued to live the best life that he could with the circumstances that he was given. He was cited by a bunch of the people around him to at least be grateful that he could at least talk and communicate with people. For the next 65 years, he would live in a family home, and in order to generate a little bit of income on the side, he would make like belts and wallets. Something that Raymond liked to do a lot was walk. Obviously, he couldn't see the nature or scenery around him, but I imagine the cool breeze of a place felt nice. He would only leave his house on walks that he took in the dead of night to avoid scaring people with his appearance. It was from these walks that the urban legend of the Green Man started to develop, when high school kids would spot him from their car walking along State Route 351. It's actually believed that the reason Green Man really started coming up wasn't because his skin was glowing green, it's because Raymond liked to wear flannels. So when their headlights were hitting him, it would make him glow a little green. While some people were frightful or very disrespectful to him, there were a good chunk of people that were very kind, respectful, and generous to Raymond. "We used to go out and give him beer," said the 60-year-old Pete Palovic in 1998. He stated that people would often meet him at the diner he worked at before heading out to try and spot the Green Man. He said that people who didn't know about Robinson were often shocked and terrified at the sight of him. They wanted to call the police. You'd have to explain, then they'd usually go back up looking for him. Something that makes my heart pretty happy, not gonna lie, is seeing that people were respectful to him. Obviously, you're gonna have those teenagers that are like, hey, this guy's different, let's go bully him. But it's very clear to see that this guy had friends, and despite the circumstances that were given to him, he managed to live a good and happy life. "Hell of a nice guy," said Phil Ortega, schoolmate of Robinson's sister. Ortega remembered bringing his dates to see Robinson and bring him Lucky Strike cigarettes. Something that really hurt me to see, though, is, well, obviously there's a bunch of good in the world from some of these people. The thing that got me the most upset was when I was reading, and then I learned that basically some people would offer to give him a ride rather than, having him walk there. They'd ask to give him a ride, Raymond accepts, and then they just drop Raymond off in a random place. Like, why would you take advantage of a person that trusted you to give them a ride somewhere? That's so mean. To add some good closure to this story, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but you can tell that Raymond didn't let it get to him. He was very grateful that he could at least talk and still hear people, communicate. He went out on walks when he could. He still had friends. He enjoyed the occasional drink or bit of smokes with his pals. He had a lot of good things in his life. So while obviously it's very messed up that some people took advantage of the way that he looked to make him basically look scary and whatnot, it's still a good thing to see that this person, despite everything, despite the awful teenagers that were probably calling him a freak and whatnot, despite all of that, he still lived a good life. 74 years old. That's a good chunk of time. Before we do hop into the end segment, though, I would like to thank my Knighted Patreons. First off, we got ya boy Cam, Steffi Muse, Shizen, Lint, Catherine, Cleta, Bunny, and Alvaro. Thank you guys so much for your very generous and amazing support. I really do appreciate it. Thank you all. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, why not like and subscribe? It definitely helps me out. If you didn't, why not dislike and let me know what I can improve on for next time. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all in the next one.